What?
Tickle you.
What's going on there?
Everybody, this is Allie Peel.
And David Mitchell here with Living with Autism, episode 291.
This is his first time coming here, by the way.
Yeah, even though my first time being here, y'all know that I was born and raised here in Toronto, but I have never been in the museum here ever. So the first time.
You never knew about this last year?
I did. It did that. The first time I decided to come here.
Oh, that takes you forever.
But yeah, we're standing in front of the memorial of one of the first submarines used in combat during the Civil War. Am I right, Val?
Yep.
But yeah. But look at this sucker. Val moved out of the way. But yeah, look. Forever submarine used in combat. We need to think about it. This thing almost 200 years old, you know?
Yep.
This ain't about the longness. Like, it's crazy when you did think about it. But, yeah. But, it's crazy when you did think about it. Oops. There we go. But, we're here at the Toronto Museum, so yeah, we're going to tour around, have a little bit of fun. Am I right, Val? We talked about it last week coming here, so yeah, we talked about coming to the museum for over a week now, so yeah, if y'all know what I mean. So Val, are you excited? Hold on one. You are?
Yep. And we're getting the 2 sides.
Now, we'll see y'all when we get inside. Alright, we're inside now. Oh, look at it. Old. Look right there. That's cool. One of my ancestor genes, because I'm part Native American. Oh wait, not American. Oof. But yeah, we're gonna be here getting our tickets because it's intra. But look at it, it's pretty cool. So yeah. So pretty cool. Also, they got the museum store, which we're probably not going to buy anything from the museum store. We're just walking around. So, all right, you can. But yeah. All right, we now got our receipt, and we're getting ready to look around. But Val probably going to look at the merch first because she's thinking about buying the merch queen. But yeah, but look at it, pretty cool when you just think about it. Beautiful thing. There, Val, looking at the merch. So yeah. Look at all of this. But lunchroom. But yeah. Ooh, is this what I did? Oh, it is. Not cool. But yeah. Now, part of the museum is up there and over there. So yeah. But we also got to tour one of the buildings too. So that's gonna be cool. So Val, what?
It's awesome.
You like it?
I love it.
Oh. Yeah. Val enjoying herself anyway. Museum girl. Oh, by the way, the museum on the second floor too.
Alright, Day.
You want to head up there? Alright, I'm going to head up. Alright, we're now in the top. And it looked like Val is wandering off. But look at the chandelier light here. Pretty cool. But yeah. You like that, Val? You want to go in that way?
Yeah. I can do too.
Alright. Val, make it so you don't lose the ticket. But yeah. Oh, Val, look right here. You see where it says the Blue Ridge Mountains? Mm-hmm. Look. Fall line. Midland Coast.
Lowest sea levels cause the extinction of oysters in many areas. 1,000 years ago.
No, yeah, that right. We used to have like buffaloes around here. But look at all this. My ancestors' work. Look at it.
That's why I think this is where a section came from. 48.
Oh, you're so curious in that area, Val? Mm-hmm. Hey, Val, look at this. Alright. Oh, that a blunderbuss. Oof. Right there.
Swamps and cultivate them in rights by a system of flooding the fields from the river. Canals, reaches, and floodgates, drawing off the water when necessary, and leaving just wonderfully restorative for original plains.
The use of the floating state was slow work, especially as it could be carried on only during good weather. When the grain was threshed off, it had to be gathered
A little bit of a toll. But yeah. Yeah.
through which the rice was dropped to the ground, so that the breeze was
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's an old car.
Ow, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, we'll wait on Val. We'll wait on Val to get up to it because she is a little slow. So yeah, she'll be here in a few minutes. All right, everyone. Val starting to catch up. She is right there. Val very invested in looking at the history. Am I right? But yeah, she invested in looking at the history. But yeah, but we're getting some interesting stuff right here. Look at that cannon right here. Oof.
Sure, there was a whole bunch of Chinese pottery back there.
Mhm. Look at all this.
And one of it said in Maori style, my mother collected some. All the
Now you two don't go after me for this at a museum. So that a little bit of an interesting one right there. The long rifle one, the remote would be used for sniper rifles and long stock. But yeah. Yeah, nah. Huh, why a World War One piece of equipment in a Civil War? Or wait. Oh, yeah. I know the reason why. The debate on war stuff. But it don't make sense in a Civil War piece, if y'all know what I'm saying. But look at it. The gun would obsolete by the First World War right here. But the other guns right here were obsolete right after the Civil War. That one probably would have lasted right up until World War One, right there. There, if y'all know what I mean. But yeah, that one too. There you go. But yeah, look at all the it crazy. But yeah. But we're getting ready to come into the big area. Bella is still behind. But let's go check upon her. It's yeah. Or did she walk by her? Ready? Oh, you're in the restroom? Alright, Bella in the restroom, so yeah. I'll go over here and we'll wait upon her again. Miss her, I'm gonna wait on Val. But yeah. Alright, Val is back from the bathroom and now she's looking at. But yeah.
One of my favorites was the sword.
Oh, the short.
Oh, the sword force.
Alright. You are a short nut. Now we're going to
Because you're messing with me.
Becoming America. Trusting in the revolution. Mm-hmm.
Reading for swords.
Look at that.
Can't do that.
76. But 76 was the birth of the United States, for people who don't know. There we go. A little bit of brightness. Had to fix that for a minute. But yeah, look at all this.
Where in the book can you, where's the book that you can find about the slavery? The black slave owners? You know? Look.
No. But, steam paddle boat, meaning right here, 1867, probably 1837 to be more exact. They were built in 1837, but yeah. And here, the best friend of Charleston. Crazy, we went from this to modern trains in about 200 years. But yeah, look at that. Yep. They have an early railroading right here. Look at that. And here, the photo of the Union Station right here. And exactly our railroading history part. But yeah. Like y'all seen the actual model before. But yeah. And yep. I know where this is. Did with the old bridge that connected John's Island right here for people who don't know. I know my railroading history. Then you have the rail system right here of 1863. Look at that. You got your freight and all that. Now you got narrow gauge right there. And for people who don't know, we did have narrow gauge here in South Carolina back in the day. So yeah, but look right there. If you see that map, that's what Charleston had back then. And the Union Station, you determine it right near Marion Square. If I look, the railroad history part of it.
Charleston, that looks small. That looks small.
Look, that the charter of the Fur Railroad right here in Charleston. This line went from Charleston all the way up to Augusta, Georgia. Most people don't know about that. But yeah, but look at the kind of cool, ain't it?
That's on my YouTube shorts.
But yeah. Now the original one right here that connected to North Carolina. There even more to it. But you know, motor line is different now, but they did lost. But this right here, it's up and I talked about a lot. So yeah. For hook and pin couplers. But yeah. But yeah, look at all the.
Cotton, it's my favorite part.
There was a jail there. I wish there was a book about it. Anyway, there was a jail there. But everybody wanted it out. And the missionaries came down. And the two missionaries told me they had big chaps. And one really
This is right here what replaced, for people who don't know, this is actually what replaced the cannonball. Right here. So, when D came out, that right there became obsolete when this came out. By the end of the Civil War, cannonballs were no more. They fully went with these instead by the end because they were more accurate. But yeah. You got submarines and stuff right here, battleships. What sparked the battleship right here. And I'm talking about the steel variants. For people who don't know. So, yeah. A little bit of a history buff. But knowing my ship history. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Swimming in the water, Charles.
Excuse me. We'll go along this side before we head over. But yeah, look at it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, look at it. Pretty cool. Now, if y'all want to, you could pause the video in certain spot. Do you see that? So yeah. And we some crates up right here. Ooh, I know what one of those are. They're crazy. But yeah. And look at this. Yeah. But yeah. But yeah. It's pretty cool. Now I'm going to wait on Vel before we can head to the next section, if you know what I mean. But yeah, but look at it. Well, we get ready to wait on Vel. This is cool. Oh wow. That's pretty neat right there. But look at that. So yeah. But I'll wait right here for Val. Where she can get done with her part, and then we'll catch up heading that way around. So yeah. Alright everyone, Val caught up, but she ahead of me now. But yeah, look at this. They're kind of cool. Okay. Oh wow. That. I like how they have everything interacted around here a little bit. That's pretty cool. But, oh, let me see if y'all can see this. Oh, there y'all can see that now. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Look at this. I'm not gonna lie, it did crazy when you did think about how big these suckers are. Oh, wow. That's cool. Look at that. For people who don't know, we used to have buffaloes here. Or technically not buffalo, but bisons here in South Carolina, but we don't anymore. Crazy. Look at that.
Remember when there was Autism in garbage can in Maryland? And so I called the ASPCA to come get it. We don't come for parcel.
A little game room for the kids. That I'm not gonna lie about. Kind of adorable. But yeah. A little bit of Jimson. Shout out to Kaide, which I'll put her link in the description down below. Look what we found. Our Meanville friend Kaide, a friend of Egyptian. But yeah. But This is a museum. Yeah, that's for our friend Kaide. Look at that. So, yeah. Huh. That's it, crazy looking at that. Jeez, look at it, crazy. So, yeah. Egyptian. But, yeah. Oop. Mode. They're taking photos, so, yeah. I might get me and Val to take some photos there once we get done with this part. But yeah, look.
That was the only place I could find.
That's pretty cool. Now we'll get ready to go to the second section, and then after that, we'll head to the second part of our tour. So we'll see y'all in a few minutes. Alright, we're now heading out into this section
This is the music.
for music and kids' stories. But yeah, look at it. Pretty cool looking at musical instruments. Look at that small violin.
And then the world's greatest smallest violin.
Mm-hmm.
Piano, oh my god, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually
And now we're heading in to this section real quick. But yeah. Excuse me. But yeah, look at a Lionel right there. Old one. Pretty cool, if I say so myself. But yeah. Look at this. I remember stuff like it, but it remind me of something that I have not seen before. Val taking photos. The Queen and Diva. Yeah. Oh God, look at this. Let me dunk in. Ow. Kind of funny when you did think about it. But yeah. But now we're getting ready to go into the part before we do the tour. Vela all the way over there. There she is. Oh, samurai Japanese, like. But yeah, look at it. Yeah, samurai. Hey Val, come look over here. Got a samurai shoot. Shoot. I can't say it properly. Got samurai. But yeah. Also, here a old photo of downtown Charleston along King Street. And if y'all know what I've been talking about, yes, we did have an interurban streetcar system. I'll be honest, we did went backwards in time. So, yeah, y'all know where my stance is on that. But yeah, Belle's on the kids section. So, yeah. But, pretty cool. She enjoying herself.
history gallery very soon.
Old clockings up from the 1800s. Look at it. That's pretty cool. But yeah. But that is wowzer. If y'all know what I mean. Now, I'm gonna wait out here for Val to get done because see right now in Valley Poo land and where we started back up. So yeah. So wait right out here for Val and then we'll go on the final half of the tour. So yeah, also look at that little neat clock. So yeah, but we'll wait out here until Val get back and then we'll be heading on the tour into the second part. So yeah. Okay, Val did get done looking around. So we're now getting ready to head over. Do you want to tell them where we're getting ready to head over to?
We're gonna head down to my favorite spot, the Mackinac, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
A little circle where we love to.
So we're gonna ready to head down there. We're only across the street from the museum.
If I'm not mistaken, there's across the.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're getting ready to start the outer tour and the outer part. So yeah, so.
But before that, me and David came up with one day with me and you would walk like in our wedding outfit. Like me and you would walk right down if we want to go back here again.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the what's this house again? That is a brick. The just oh,
Yeah, it did first one right here, Val. It's right across the street.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It is still cool right here.
Me and David would love to kind of do our wedding video, marriage video here in that stairs.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back here down the line and we will go into Joseph Manigault. Joseph Manigault's museum. So he said it's just
Mm-hmm.
one.
Now we'll see y'all when we get over there. It's only going to take a minute. So yeah, we'll see you when we get over there. All right, we are getting ready to start the tour of. Do you want to tell them what we're getting ready to start the tour of, Bill?
Joseph Manigault House.
Yep. With it right behind us. The museum is right over there. So yeah. But it's pretty cool. You get an option of which way you can walk, so yeah.
But before that, me and David would take a photo together. Before we left.
Alright. But yeah. Oh, look at this. Kind of cool when you to think about it. You got the old house right there, but Wonders of Charleston. Cool information. That I'm not going to lie about. But yeah. But look at it. You got so many options. So yeah. But look. Wow. That's crazy. That'll come in. So yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, that is beautiful. I know you're enjoying it, aren't you, Val? It's at night and beautiful around here. So, yeah. Look at it. Look at this. It's very old, but it's beautiful.
Oh, man, you could take a photo here with me.
Mm-hmm. We'll take that probably toward the end. You know what I mean? But yeah. Now we are waiting because they'll begin a tour for the inside soon. So yeah. But it is beautiful. We might have to take photos while waiting. So but it kind of is cool when you just think about it. But it's a beautiful. But we'll probably be waiting on when the tour begins. So yeah. But we'll probably take them pictures and stuff. But we'll see y'all when they begin the tour. So yeah. There go the bells, but we're getting ready to start the tour. So yeah, kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Look at that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Look at that.
The two of you going across the hallway. Okay.
Look at that.
Across the hallway.
Hello. Hello.
That's for
Welcome.
3 of us. There's no flash. No flash.
Begin right in the dining.
Yeah, come in here, she says.
Begin here in the dining room.
Ooh. What do you?
It's awesome.
Look at it.
I'm not gonna get closer to seeing proper shots.
Would you mind leaving that backpack across the hallway? Or do you sleep on one of the chairs?
I'm now going to put our book back.
Burdened by that throughout the house.
I get used to the heavy weights, I'm good.
What?
I get used to the heavy weight of my back, so I'm good.
Okay, well, don't lean against anything. Just make sure you don't lean against anything.
Thank you.
Come on in.
You're dying.
Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome to the Joseph Manikin House. And welcome to Charleston if you're out of town. You may take pictures throughout the whole house as long as you don't use a flash. And you're encouraged to ask questions because something may be particularly interesting to you you'd like to know a bit more about, and I'm happy to answer those questions for you. As we go through the house, you'll see some extraordinary furniture, some extraordinary examples of architecture, and recognize nothing in this house is manufactured. Nothing in this house is reproduction. It's all made by hand. So when you admire things such as the ceiling, recognize that's the craftsmanship of the specialists that are able to craft such beautiful work. Plaster is the first thing to look at when you enter a room. If the ceiling is embellished such as this, then it announces to you they brought guests into the room. If the ceiling is very conservative, it'll be quite handsome, but conservative, then that means it's just for the family. So you can always pick up rooms and entertain in. The ceilings are about 13 feet high, and that was to accommodate cooling when they came during the summer months. The family would have just arrived a few days ago. They came here in May, and they stayed until the end of September. They would leave the plantation, which is about 60 miles north of here near Georgetown, South Carolina, and they would leave the plantation and come and stay through the entire summer. They would stay until the end of September. And they did that for 2 reasons. The very first reason is they were escaping summer fever. We now know it was yellow fever, because rice is a tidal crop, and it's grown on swampy marshland. And that particular marshy land was the breeding ground for the mosquitoes that carried that fatal disease. But the other reason they came is they were escaping the heat, because here there were no residents to block the breeze coming in from the Cooper River. This was just a vast amount of land. We're down to about half an acre now, but all the way back to the Cooper River was just an empty amount of space. So the breeze came in from the Cooper River. Beyond that was the Atlantic Ocean, so the house had a breeze all through the summer months. So those are the reasons they came. They would occupy this house during the summer with the whole family. There were 8 children in the family, 7 sons, 2 of whom were twins, and 1 daughter. And amazingly, all of those children, especially those twins, lived to adulthood, which at that time was extraordinary. So this is how the family would occupy the summer. And then all the planters would come back to town in January, February, and March, because it was a much more comfortable time of the year to entertain. The humidity was diminished, it was a much more cooler of a climate, and they could entertain in the gardens, the ladies could wear their beautiful gowns, and so they celebrated those 3 months as the social season. So those are the months they really did most of their entertaining. Now, when we talk about entertaining, we're talking about quite the lavish entertaining, and the extraordinary amount of attention was given to every single detail when they would entertain. But all the planters were here in town. They would travel back and forth through the plantation with about 20 wagon loads of things that they would bring. Of course, in the social season, they would bring much more things, but all of the ordinary things that we think about would be brought by wagon. 60 miles in those days was quite a trip, because you were traveling by horseback and carriage, and no roads were paved. It was inclement weather, so you were cutting through all of these pasture lands and everything. So it was a long, arduous journey. So they wanted to be settled for those months that they were here in town. Joseph Manigault was a rice planter. That's where the wealth came from. That was inherited wealth from the plantations. They owned 5 rice plantations. The plantations were thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of land all dedicated to rice. But rice was not only grown at the plantation, but it was exported. The ships would dock right there at the Cooper River. England wanted as much rice as we could send them. The rice was called Carolina Gold. Once that rice had been brought to England, these planters recognized that they came back here with empty ships. They were denying themselves a great profit. So they sent those ships to various ports to gather goods they knew commanded a high price. Decorative objects, beautiful fabrics such as taffeta for the ladies' gowns, and lots of wine and rum. So there was a duplicity of wealth there. That is the main reason Joseph wanted to be in town, to conduct the business. Joseph Manigault was trained in law, which was all sons in those days were trained in law. He was very active in politics. He was on the board for the College of Charleston, and he was engaged in the export of rice. So think of this. This was a wealth of agricultural wealth. There was rice, indigo, and cotton, and then export, so R-I-C-E. Rice was the major crop of wealth. Rice, indigo was a dye, and then cotton is where the cotton is, and then exporting that rice. So that's where the wealth came from. So you can imagine the amount of business that Joseph Manigault was engaged in. So that's why he wanted a house in town. And this is one of the first times the word townhouse was used, because he referred to it as his townhouse. He wrote in his diary he referred to being an urbanite rather than a planter, because he could take care of all the business right here in town. This is where the family dined as well as room they entertained in. They would dine just about this time of the afternoon to take advantage of daylight, because there was no gas until the 1850s, and they had left just about that time. They would dine for about 2 or 3 hours, because it was the only time of the day the whole family would come together. Mealtime was very, very, very lengthy, because there was a conversation between the father and the sons. It was also the time for the ladies, there was 1 daughter and her mother, to have time together. So this was a grand occasion to dine every day. They would set the table in mid-morning, and in the summertime there were no screens, so the windows were wide open. They had to invert the spoons and the forks so that a fly didn't settle in the bowls. That's why you see this is still with a French table set. This is the Manigault china. There are 380 pieces to the set. It's Chinese export porcelain. We only have a few pieces, and the museum only has a few pieces. The rest is still in the Manigault family. They live all over the world. But you can imagine the excitement when they walk one day over with a little teacup and saucer. They get very excited to have them. But every single piece has the family crest, and you can see it very exemplified on these letters right here. So this is the family crest. Then underneath the crest in Latin is the family motto. In translation it reads, "It is better to anticipate than to avenge," and that's on every single piece of their china. The furniture is mahogany. Mahogany is the preferred wood of the cabinet makers for one reason. It withstood humidity. And in the summertime, this humidity is very heightened. And so they did not want to have crafted an extraordinary piece of furniture to see it warp. Mahogany did not warp, a lesser grade of wood did. But mahogany was not abundant. It had to be imported from the West Indies. What was abundant is what we're standing on. It's called southern longleaf hard pine. The other abundant wood was cypress. But cypress was looked upon as utilitarian, as a workwood, but never been used for their formal furniture. These are called sideboards. That beautiful grain that you see in this cabinetry, this beautiful flame that comes up, that is called crotch mahogany. Where the branch of the tree meets the trunk of the tree is called the crotch of the tree. That's the part of the tree that the cabinet maker used that every one of those cabinet doors matches perfectly. Well, I'm going to show you a secret. You're not supposed to know this. So remember that particular grain. These great big doors are cypress, but they don't want you to know that. So let me show you what they did. You are going to know a secret. They painted them so you think it's a mahogany door. So this, of course, this is a simulated grain, but it matches the grain perfectly that you see over there. So when you enter, you just assume this is a...
That's painted?
That's painted. You just assume this is a mahogany door, but it's not. It's cypress. So they disguise it. In French, we call that fourbois, meaning false wood. All the doors downstairs are painted cypress painted mahogany. All the doors upstairs are cypress painted satin, but they're strong, sturdy cypress doors. So you know a secret. So while we're talking about doors, this one over here is nailed to the wall. There are no hinges, there are no knobs. Its only purpose is to balance the fireplace. So think for just a moment, had that wall been extended, that would have been an interruption in the balance, and that was very important to the architect. The architect was Joseph's older brother. His name was Gabriel Manico, and he was a self-taught architect. And in those days, the sons were sent abroad to London to study law. Well, while in London, Gabriel became interested in the architecture of London and became fascinated by the symmetry and the balance and all the things that made all of those buildings stand out. So he began to look into the particular architect in London named Robert Adam, and he studied those elements, came back and designed his house based upon that. This was the first house in Charleston to have a curved wall. It had never been seen in a residence before, so that was a curiosity. Interestingly, everything had to be paired, so I'm going to point out to you, I'm going to step right behind you all. Excuse me. Nice little dance we did.
Yes.
Pairs of columns are embedded in the window frames. Pairs of columns are embedded in the door frames. Pairs of columns are on the chimney piece, and then we have the pair of doors to balance this fireplace. So that was how important balance was. Gabriel Manigault felt that if you walked into a room and there was a balance in the room, then you will come. And so that you will not realize it, but from every room you go to, there will be that balance of comfort as you go through. Do you have any questions before I continue? Yes.
Is that in?
Well, I'm going to tell you that in just a minute.
Does he drag a little plates on the chairs?
This is sterling silver, monogram. It has an M on it. It's not for the Manacles. It's from a former governor of South Carolina named Matthews. So I'm glad you pointed that because so many people didn't think the M is for Manico, but it's for Governor Matthews. This would be typical of what the family would have had, typical of the table setting that they would have had, but it's for Governor Matthews. So thank you for asking that. Any other questions?
When did they get electricity?
What?
When did electricity come to the house?
In the 1940s.
Oh, wow.
And when we go upstairs, I'll point that out.
Happened during the Second World War.
They had to bring it into the house because they were allowing some of the soldiers of World War II to have a dormitory on the 3rd floor. Up until that time, there was no plumbing, no electricity, and of course, nothing that we think of today as a necessity, such as running water. So all of that was brought in when the soldiers were here during World War II. Now, I want you to recognize the craftsmanship throughout the house, especially when we recognize everything was made by hand. In the 1750s, this house was built in 1803, but in the 1750s, there were 5 major cities in British North America, and they were all port cities. And Charleston was one of the 5, and it was declared the wealthiest of the 5. Because of that declaration, there was this influx of population of trained and classically trained cabinet makers and artisans and craftsmen, and they settled here because of the wealth. They would bring about 200 or so of the enslaved gentlemen from the plantation to teach them the trades, such as the masonry and brickwork, such as the carpentry, such as building the furniture, and one of the others is this beautiful plaster work. Now, plaster is an extraordinary craft because they would burn oyster shells to make the glue. Then they would crush oyster shells and make a composite with sand and lime, and they would take that sort of a milky substance and pour that into a wooden mold that was lined in horsehide. And they would pour that in, and right before it hardened, they would lift it out and apply it to the ceiling. So notice that every swag matches, every urn, everything matches perfectly. These are called life boxes. Those are the usual ones that you'll see at an antique shop. They fit into a whole forks and spoons as well, and the lid comes down and it locks, and they bring that back and go to the plantation. This one is quite rare. You'll probably never see another one like that. But it complements the urns that you see in the plaster work. That, instead of the lid going back, it comes straight up on a rod, and it's circular, so you can insert the forks and spoons and the knives in a circular pattern rather than a slanted pattern like that. But that is quite rare, so I wanted you to notice it because it is so very special. This is Peter Manigault. This is Joseph's father. Peter Manigault, in the middle of the 1750s, he's the third generation of the Manigauts. Charlestown was founded 350 years ago by the English. About 30 years later came the French Huguenots, and these were French Huguenots. So he's the third generation of the French Huguenots. He was Speaker of the House of the Assembly in the 1750s, and at that time, that was quite prestigious. That was quite important to be Speaker of the House of the South Carolina Assembly. Well, all the gentlemen of that era wanted to be remembered. So they all had their portraits done. Well, Peter Manigault went to London to have his done, and notice he selected a clock for his portrait. This is that clock from the 1750s. It has sat here for years and years and years to complement the portrait. But a few months ago, the museum located a gentleman called a horologist who specialized in antique clocks. So he came and he took it from the man and put it on a little work table, and he unlocked a little door on the back. There was a broken spring, a bent pendulum, and a perfect spring, and he repaired it, and it keeps almost perfect time. But the secret is that every 36 hours it has to be rewound. So now it says approximately 2:30, but every 36 hours the curator has to come from across the street, and he has to unlock that little door and remind it, and I don't have permission to do that. So it's a little fast, but to think from the 1750s it is a working timepiece. Also, I want you to notice this on old clocks. We learned the Roman numeral for 4 was a 1 and a V. Old clocks will have 4 1s. So look at that next time you see an old clock, you see those 4 1s. And I've asked repeatedly, I've asked so many of the curators and the horologists that I did not get to talk to estimate for me approximately what time did it change from the 4 1s to the IV. They all think the thing is right before the Civil War, but there's no specific date. So. Now the paint colors are very important because in this room they went down 33 layers to get to this color that they believe Charlotte Manigault selected. So throughout the entire house you have these very cooling colors, sort of a minty color. But 2 rooms, one downstairs and one upstairs, have warm colors, and those we have no explanation as to why Charlotte selected them. But you'll see one in the music room downstairs, it's sort of a curry pumpkin color, and one upstairs. But these are the colors we believe Charlotte Manigault selected. So as you leave the room, you'll see these little frame swatches. It just shows you. The museum calls it relay. They scrape and they scrape and they scrape until they get to what they believe might have been an original color. An original color will mean that it was made from the roots and the berries and the seeds, a natural color. If it's a man-made color, they know that it came from a paint store. Well, there was no such thing as a paint store in those days, so they had to use whatever they could to make these colors. So we believe these are the colors that Charlotte selected. So let's go into the entry hall where you came in, and I'll meet you in front of the fireplace. This ceiling is very handsome, but it's conservative as compared to what we saw in the dining room. So this announces to us that this is the family entry. When we go on the other side, it's going to be more decorative, and that will be the guest entry room. So when Gabriel Manigault designed the house, rather than put a wall to separate the two, he put an arch. So that way, no matter which door you came in, you'll be by this wonderfully elongated entry hall. A nice welcome. The portrait is Joseph's wife, Charlotte. She's the mother of the 8 children. But she is his second wife. His first wife was named Maria Henrietta Middleton, of Middleton Place Plantation. If you have the occasion to visit the plantation, you'll go on Highway 61, there'll be Middleton, Magnolia, and Drayton. Well, his first wife was in Middleton. Her father, Arthur, was one of the 4 South Carolinians that signed the Declaration of Independence. But Maria died in childbirth after 3 years of marriage, and so Joseph waited 9 years and married Charlotte Drayton of Drayton Hall. She was 19 when they married, and he was 37. In the span of 24 years, she had the 8 children. And her portrait was known when she was age 20. So step into the library, that's where Joseph conducted business, and I'll get you right in there. Excuse me, I'm right behind you. Thank you. If you have any questions before I continue?
Did the house have any damage from the earthquake?
No, this house did not. That earthquake was in 1886. The only damage is you see sometimes the doors don't frame perfectly. And there'll be a little sign, especially the dining room, a little slant, which otherwise you don't have any. Did you walk around the building outside?
Yeah,
You saw those great big iron circles with the bolt in the center? Those are earthquake bolts.
okay.
In 1886, a magnitude 7 earthquake came to Charleston. Please don't lean against the furniture.
It killed a lot of people, about 86 if I'm right.
Oh, no. You mean
The earthquake.
the earthquake?
Yes.
I don't have that statistic. I know thousands of buildings were destroyed, but I don't have a statistic on the amount of persons killed. But that was in 1886. So those great big iron circles with the bolt, that is not original to the architecture of the house. I want you to know that. That was typical of everything that we have when we have a disaster. It's an afterthought of what to do so we don't have that disaster again
Right.
of destruction. So that bolt that you see, those great big industrial bolts, are connected to a rod, and that rod runs every floor. As you walk downtown, especially in the residential neighborhoods, they have disguised that bolt because it is so industrial looking. So there'll be a lion's head or a crescent or a star or something beside it. But that's exactly what it is. But we still have a big bolt outside, but that's not original to the house structure. But thank you for asking. So this is where Joseph conducted business. Gabriel put a doorway right here, so the gentleman came in, attended to the business that was being taken care of, and they exited, so the family was never disturbed, never interrupted. So that was a nice consideration. The portrait is Joseph Mandeville, the occupant of the house, and this is his brother Gabriel, the architect of the house. Joseph's brother Gabriel is 5 years older. That ruffle that you see coming down the front in French is called a jabot, and that's what gentlemen wear for formal occasions, such as having their portraits done. So gather around you to see a visual essay of how the house came to almost collapse. It almost crumbled to the ground. So you can come around. You can bring your chairs up if you'd like. The family lived here for 50 years, from 1803 to the end of 1852. Joseph died, and Charlotte gave the house to one of her sons, and he sold it. And the house was left to deterioration and neglect and disrepair. You can see where the steps had fallen off, the porches had fallen off. It was in horrible condition. In 1920, a little over 100 years ago, an automobile dealer recognized that this corner was the perfect location for his dealership, perfect commercial corner. He purchased the property with the intention of tearing this house down. So right before demolition, these 2 ladies came forward for, and at that time was called the preservation of old dwellings. And they knew the history of the house and its architectural significance, and they would not let that happen. So they went to all of their relatives and all of their friends. They gathered up a certain sum of money, presented it to the automobile dealer, and he accepted it, and they saved the house from demolition. They did not have the funding to restore it, so they turned the house into a tenement home with a different family occupying every room. They put these little porcelain knobs on every door so the families had a hint of privacy. They did everything they could not to lose the house. Eventually, they had to sell the entire front lawn, the entire front garden, to Standard Oil Company, and came an Esso service station. So here's the house. The entire front garden is a service station. This structure we still have in the garden is called a gate temple. We have that. That was original to the construction of the house. The reason Esso didn't tear it down is that they made it into the ladies' powder room and they stored the tires in it, and that's the reason we still have it. The Depression came along. The ladies owed $3,000 in back taxes. They did not have $3,000. The Charleston Museum wanted the house. They did not have $3,000. Wealthy benefactors came forward, who was from South Carolina and whose mother had lived in Charleston. So she purchased the house and gave it to the Charleston Museum, and her mother's name was on the plaque at the front door, memory of her mother. So the museum had the house with no funding to restore it. When World War II came along, they leased the home to the USO during the whole war years, and all the soldiers were entertained. Over 300,000 soldiers came through Charleston in World War II, and they were entertained. Here they are right on the court where we were, and they're on the stairs that we're going to go up in a little while. All that revenue from that particular lease accommodated the restoration of the house and the acquisition of the furniture, and it opened in 1949, so you could come to see it. They found sketches that Charlotte had made when she lived here, so they copied these sketches exactly to restore the house, and the garden club restored the gardens, and that's the sketch she made of the plantation named White Oak near Georgetown, South Carolina. So it came to be in 1949, so you could come to see it. Now I'm going to tell you a little story about this particular benefactor. She's an interesting person. She was the widow of Edward Hartford of the A&P grocery store chain. And when he died, she came into that wealth. And in addition to that wealth, Edward Hartford himself had invented a shock absorber that he had sold to all automobile manufacturers. Would you like me to get you some? Oh, you have some more? Okay. He had sold to all the automobile manufacturers, so there was a duality of wealth there. And she declared, supposedly, she inherited over $100 million. She declared herself with a great deal of enthusiasm, I am one of the wealthiest women in the world. I have everything you can ask for. I have homes all over the world, I have apartments in all the beautiful cities, but there is one thing I don't have, a title. So she found an Italian princess, she became Princess Pignatelli, then she had everything.
Princess Pignatelli.
So she was the benefactress that gave the house to the museum. Any questions about anything?
Did she have to buy that title?
What?
Did she have to buy the title of a princess?
Oh no, she married an Italian
Oh,
prince.
she married the
She married an
Italian.
Italian.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay.
She came into authentically. Supposedly he was one of those that would seek out the wacky women. That's the little gossip.
Was she a resident of Charleston?
She at that time no, she was living in she had a plantation here called Wando Plantation, but she also had a residence in New Jersey and she was staying there. She also had a beautiful home in Newport, so she was quite quite fun. So I'll let you walk through the music room. That's the only warm color downstairs, and I'll reach in the chandelier and the guest inn.
Look at the music thing.
National Park. Huh. Wow. What's happening?
Come right on in. So this is the guest room, but you know that because of the ceiling.
My wife, Val. Well, look who it was.
So this is the guest entryway. The guests were dropped off by carriage right there and then greeted by this beautiful ceiling that you see again. Every little square is plastic squares that you can see. It's beautiful again. Another example of master of the craft. But also, the guests would be escorted inside and then they would come around this way. You'd be brought upstairs for the occasion and they would recognize they had just entered underneath a freestanding staircase. There's nothing visibly holding up these stairs. From 1803, a mechanical engineer Mr. that these stairs were able to be built. And it's also one of the first examples of a winding staircase. The architectural period before this house was built was named Georgian. And Georgian stairs ascended, you had to land and you kept on going. This is one of the first examples of a winding staircase. So the guests would be escorted upstairs. The railing is all mahogany. It's original to the house from 1803. So you're holding on to the same railing that the manifold held on to. So I'll meet you at the top of the stairs. You'll be greeted by a beautiful plastic ceiling. Right on up.
Waiting for a Valley Poo? Look at this. That amazing.
Please be careful with that. Thank you. This is the ceiling that we use. This is all plaster. Every square matches, every corner, every gone. Everything matches perfectly. And then the sweep in the ceiling is echoing the sweep you have in the railings. So there's a perfect balance right there. So step into the drawing room. Pretend you've been invited for tea.
Oh, was that amazing?
I didn't record that.
Oh, Val with her fell. Check this out.
This is the room you entertained in. But you knew that because of the ceiling. The ceiling is extraordinary when you recognize the amount of craftsmanship that went into it. But I want you to notice the bottom of that corner's work. It's called the ball rope design. It's in plaster. Since everything has to match, it's in wood around the window frame and the door frame. Everything matches perfectly. So supposedly, the carpenters would have a sheet of wood and they would make these individual balls. They would so that it make it line up with the window frame and the door. This is the drawing room, and it's called that because you were drawn upstairs. And the reason you were drawn upstairs is because of the dust. Nothing was paved, the dirt path and the home garden. The horses had got a path, carrots had come forward, they opened that door and that dust came in, so the guests were drawn to the second floor. And this is hard for us to believe, but they thought mosquitoes would fly this high or something. The portrait is Joseph's mother, her name is Elizabeth. She's the wife of Peter that you met in the dining room. And their portraits were intended to face one another, but we don't have a wall right now, so she's upstairs and he's downstairs. A portrait was painted by a Swiss artist named Jeremiah Fuchs. And I mention him because all the ladies wanted their portraits done by Jeremiah Fuchs because of his beautiful depiction of their gowns. So if you look at that portrait, you can almost touch that gown, it's so beautifully done. But notice she has no jewelry at her neck. She has no jewelry at her wrist. Only on the bodice of her gown. And you think the artist probably did that deliberately so your eyes would be drawn to the gown and not distracted by anything else. But he would charge extra to paint hands. So when you see almost a full of hands, it was quite a treasure. The bell pulls are paired, as everything has to be. That one was decorative. But this one is connected to a cable. And you can see where the old hardware was. And that cable is concealed on the wall and it goes down the stairs, across the hall, into that warming room, which you were facing into the dining room. In the warming room, for that time, was a very sophisticated bell system. When they entertained, and Joseph would tell on that, the little bell would ring in the warming room. You as the guest didn't hear the bell. The warming room heard the bell, and that meant bring up the tea. Punch and serve, all in a quiet time. After a while, the gentlemen excused themselves. They had important things to talk about that were not proper for the ladies. Business and politics, two topics ladies were not supposed to know anything about. So the gentlemen withdrew. They went to the withdrawing room, and no ladies were there. So just go right around the room and I'll meet you in the withdrawing room. Oh, that's probably around 18.
I have seen those before.
This is where the gentlemen gathered, and there's no link.
We were just at that Hayward house, and a lot of the men were painted with their hands and their coats. Does that make sense?
Well, that's sort of a joke, and I didn't want to take that out.
Yeah, exactly. But the women could say, they needed nothing.
And then these doors are
So come on in. So this is where the gentlemen would gather, and as I said, they would play board games, and drink beer wine, and discuss all the politics that they were active in, and all the business that they were engaged in. If there was no entertaining going on, Charlotte would join with the hearing. It was so a nice little time for them to spend together. The mirror is carved pine, and it's been gilded, and that's to replicate the palmetto and the Carolina flag. The mirrors came from England in those days, and we have no explanation why one panel is perfect and the other two have been so flawed. A lot of the decision is that it's humidity, but we don't really have any documentation to prove that. But that that is an extraordinary example again of how something ages and something remains current. So I'm going to go over here behind you and talk about a wonderful architectural device. Excuse me. Thank you very much. This is called a jib door. The old spelling was GYB. And Gabriel put one in every room upstairs, and it opens, split down the middle, and it opens inward, and the window goes up. You got this wonderful breeze all through the summer months. In the drawing room, the purpose was that there would never be a crowd. You could overflow onto the piazza, we call it porch. So the room was always very comfortable in there. That big plank of wood that you see out there is a big plank of cypress, and it's bookended to hold it up. And that is something we'll only see in Charleston. It is called a joggling bench or accordion bench. And the young lady set it one end, and the gentleman caller set it the other end. And as they pushed it progressed, they get closer and closer and closer. The parents of the young lady would determine how serious that courtship was, and the amount of jumping going up and down the bench. It's called a joggling bench and a accordion bench.
Is that one, how old is that?
Oh gosh, I would probably have to estimate that's probably
There ought to be one down in Ravenel, not far from where I live in Ravenel, South Carolina.
there should be all over South Carolina, because those were quite well known as a little accordion bench, as I said. That was expected of the gentleman to always be in the lane and the lady at the other end. I would say that it's probably about 50 or 60 years old. So, but you can see how weathered the cypress is. Now you're going to walk through the passageway, and I want you to notice something that was very practical. In those days, illumination in the evening time was done by candlelight. Well, rather than light one candle, then go to the next candle, the next candle, the next candle, they would use these paper tapers. It was like a coil of parchment paper. They would light that paper taper from the first lit candle, and then go to the other candles with the paper taper and light those, so they didn't have to worry about all the dripping, melting light. So walk into the bed chamber, and I'll meet you right in there. It's Mr. and Mrs. Manico's bedroom.
That'll be quick, that would take long.
I'm sorry.
Are these doors still functional to that?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
In the summer, we open them all up,
Okay.
and the birds fly in.
Oh, no.
They fly around, they visit one more next, and they fly out.
Okay.
So we have lots of birds that fly in.
Okay.
And in the evening when we log up, we have to make sure one of them is still flitting around. So this is Mr. and Mrs. Manigault's bed chambers, they call it. And this is the only warm color upstairs. This is a 3-layer glaze. And when they did this over about 5 years ago, they had to put plastic at the doorway, and it took about 6 weeks to get to this color. You can see the wall over there where they were scraping and scraping and scraping, and that's that green, and realized that was not ever meant to be in this house. They continued to research to the fact that this sort of marbleized glaze. But it took very tedious. If you have something that rolled it up and down to paint the wall, it's very, very tedious, and so you have to have specialized painters that come in and offer the attention to give them. So this is the color, only one color that's upstairs. So this is Mr. and Mrs. Manigault's bed chamber. The bed is dressed for summertime, so what you see wrapping around the bed is mosquito netting. It's like a tiny woven gauze, because in the summer months, we would remove the headboard and situate this bed in the middle of the room, and they would open up all the windows and the jib door, and they would sleep quite comfortably because the bed was wrapped in that mosquito netting. The winter would have a very, very huge amount of drapery and a canopy and the matching toilettes we see that you see in the Dutch welcome. In the summer months, the mattresses were filled with clean moss and cotton because it breathed. In the winter, they would stuff the mattresses with feathers from the fowls of the plantation to keep the body warm. Mattresses were held up by ropes. The rope was strung from one side of the bed to the other one. About 10 or 12 of those ropes were built. And every night before the family retired, they came up with a little tool called a crook, and they had to tighten every rope. And that's where the expression sleep tight came from. So the next time you go to sleep tight, you know where that originated. Occasionally, Charlotte invited a lady friend in for tea, and so Charlotte would be seated there, and her guest was seated here, and her guest would look across and inquire, "Charlotte, what is that room?" And Charlotte's response was, "That is my dressing room." She was the first lady in Charleston to have one, so she was the talk of town. If you want to take a peek, you'll see the Manigault hat box over there. They put them on it, so step in and take a peek.
So she wouldn't necessarily store her clothing in there, that's just
Some
where
she
she would get, oh,
Some
she would.
You see the little shelf, you see the little notch of the shelving ones, but this is a clothes press where most of the kids would have, because they didn't have coat hanger was dilapidated, so we didn't have coat
Can we
closets.
see where the knots are? Mattress, no, we can't.
You can see the beautiful carving.
It's like a bathroom.
This is called the rice bed because rice runs a plantation. So we have to imagine that this is a pole of mahogany, just a pole. And that kind of make a meticulously crafted, it looks very much like wheat, but every little grain of rice is there. And then this is called feather and this is called fluting. But this and the one on the end are the only decorative parts of the bed.
Are these 12 replicas, or is this original? These covers?
That's not original fabric, but that's what they would have had. The
Okay.
Oh,
textile curator examines to make sure what would be typical of the time period. And so it's called twang.
Would it be slipped on like that, or that's just
Would it be what?
Slip cover.
like a slip cover? Or that's just because it's...
No, it would probably have been slip covered. That seat comes up, and that's called a necessary chair, because underneath that seat is the little chamber.
Okay.
So they can feel it with the little cushion. So
Okay.
I'll meet you in the hallway and tell you a little bit about the third bedroom 1 is for the daughter Anne. Bedrooms 2 and 3 were for the son and son, and remember the children had no space. Bedroom 3 did extend where you see the semicircle, but in World War II, the museum allowed some of the soldiers to have a dormitory, so that was the first time that I mentioned running water and plumbing and electricity was brought in. The sewing room was once the children's recreation room, but after the soldiers left in World War II, the Red Cross nurses occupied the third floor, and they were making bandage and things for the child. The unidentified room of bedroom 1 was for the nurse, the children's nurse. Her name was Bess, BSS, but they called her Doc, D-A-H, the whole word for daughter, and she was partly raised by the family. She is the only enslaved person that lived in the house, that was lived by the kitchen house. And when they came to the plantation, they would bring about 15 to 20 of those enslaved persons with them. And in the social season, if you were living, but those particular ones were divided in hierarchy quite high up because they were here to do domestic service and work for the family. These stairs lead to the warming room, so the children would come down those stairs and go into the warming room. And when the little bells would be rung from Monday's respective room, up would come the trays of tea, lunch, and dessert. No one was allowed on the stairs that you came up except Mr. and Mrs. Manager and their guests.
Do they ever have plans to open up the top?
No, we would have to put an industrial fire escape outside, and that would destroy the integrity architecture of the house and also invite vandalism. So we're not planning to do that.
Understandable.
Where was the kitchen?
Outside. If you walk around the garden, you'll see the sign. The kitchens were always outside because they were just a huge open place.
Is it still a building out there?
Oh, no, it all fell to the ground. So it's just a sign that just shows you where it was. Because this was a vast amount of property, very small amount, but this was very, there were no buildings. This is just all the way to the river. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming. You're welcome to go down the grand staircase, since you're the guest. And these are the doors that are painted fabulous.
Have a fun. How do you feel about that, Mel?
I feel like I found the inspiration for our tiny house, the entertainment bar.
But the first time I did this, I'm not gonna lie.
And also that we did a productive day today, even though they're in meet no aim to meet for
But yeah, pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you. You're welcome. Have a great day. You too.
Excuse me. But it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. Whoops! I almost did.
Oh my God, man! You should take a picture here.
All right, but it was great. Now we did have fun today. We do. Hey Val.
Can we do the historic Charleston thing?
In a bit. But me and Val had a good day. We will talk more about the stuff in Voice of Autism and why we came up with the idea to come here today. Also, I do got a lot of stuff to talk about for fans trains this week too. So yeah. But what do you want to say, Sue?
I am very excited as your wife. I had fun and I love the house, and I imagine me and you will get ideas from the house, especially the tiny house thing.
Because there are a ton of stuff in it that gave us some ideals for our tiny house. That I'm not gonna lie about. But yeah, we had a good day. Now, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, guys. Bye.